Shoot prep is the most important step you're going to take in order to take full advantage of natural light, invest minimal time, and create the best results with whatever product you have to shoot. Shoot prep can be made much easier with using certain handouts and a bit of thinking ahead of time. So you will have to keep in mind what shots to take, what props you need, and what do you need to set up that particular scene. When building your prop collection, there are 3 important rules to follow: size, color, and charm. So with size, smaller is better than bigger. Small saucer or side plate is much better than a dinner plate. It takes a lot of ingredients to fill a dinner plate. It takes a lot of space within a frame if you place a dinner plate there. So think about side plate, saucer, or a cute little plate that you use for bread rather than the big salad bowl. Think about coconut shape rather than a shape of a balloon. Color, so it's best to build the basics first and then add some color to it. I would say start with white, creamy beige, gray, and black as basic colors, because those will be the most practical. Those will not distract from the element you're trying to highlight and advertise. Basically, they won't distract from your hero. They are going to be very flattering props to display things on them or together with them. If it has a bit of texture, it's very good. Think of, if you're thinking of plates, think about handmade, something that has poke marks or ridges or something like that. And lastly, charm. So props are just like old friends. The new, interesting, exciting things might be more charming and intriguing, but the old reliable ones are always the ones that have a bit of nostalgia about them. They always are the ones that have a story, that have some meaning, and they're likely to have meaning for your viewer as well. So always think about handmade items that have natural texture, that are imperfect, something that's a bit worn, something that's a bit tarnished, something that has natural patina layered there by time. So some essential props for layering, I would say you should always have maybe a cork table or something like that, or cork mat. It's a wonderful prop for flat lace. A white sheet of paper, a white poster paper, white sheet. If you have linen tablecloth, is fabulous, and it's fabulous in lovely colors. It's never too bright. It's just wonderful wrinkled style. It's just what photography needs. When you have something like that, don't iron it. Just have it slightly crumbled, slightly sort of just out of the dryer look. Old napkins, knits, sometimes a scarf does really well as the background prop. Sometimes a nice white sweater with cable knit also acts as a wonderful prop. So the idea with the props is to provide some extra texture within the frame, so it doesn't just look flat. It adds some interest and depth into your image. This is one of my favorite props. It can be easily obtained from a craft store, or you could make your own. It's just basically a cross section of a birch branch, birch tree. It has wonderful texture on the side, and that's the size you're going to see, but it's also nice and round, and it's small enough to accommodate a cup. And it has that, when you touch wood, you feel that softness. You feel like it's part of nature surrounding you, so it's very organic. It goes in. And the colors are not distracting. The colors are very neutral. So if you build up your scene with neutral props, you just layer them on top of the other, you start seeing texture and depth without being distracted from the major element, which is your hero. Good props to have are white things. White things are like your basic t-shirts. You need them to build the rest of your outfit on. So, for example, I have here very basic white flat matte ornaments, which are fabulous because if you put them on a wooden backdrop, they stand out being white. Also, they don't distract attention, but they give you a bit of shape, and they don't shine, they don't reflect the light. They look fabulous in the photo. So always when you're thinking about props, don't think of some exquisite fancy things, although those sometimes are really nice. You want them to support your hero, not to distract attention from it. Teal is a very attractive color in any photography. So teal clothing would stand out really well, especially if it's against the yellow or something like this. This one is handmade mark, and it has that quality of being a bit scratched, being a bit used. It's perfect, but it's also imperfect. Perfectly imperfect wabi-sabi elements are fabulous in your photos. If you can get hold of them, you could find them on Etsy, you could find them on eBay, you can find them in thrift stores. And thrift stores are my go-to stores for prop sourcing. So something like this looks fabulous, and something like this, if you have something like this to sell, people want to buy it. If you're arranging flowers, so thread like this, very neutral, hemp or jute, just regular Joe, or something that's a bit older and a bit more charming and has a bit of wear in it. These are fabulous props, especially when you're wrapping presents for Christmas, for example. I have some brass things like candle holders, or this old sand clock, which I love, or this brass teapot. It's a bit used, but it's fine, and I'm not going to, it's a bit tarnished, and patina is great in the photos. It adds to its charm. It tells you a story of its own. Somebody used it in the past, and maybe somebody passed it on to their grandchildren, and therefore it makes it much more valuable. I found both of this in thrift store, and I cherish them. A simple white teapot, oh well, actually there is nothing simple about this one. Although it's white and a little bit shiny, reflective, there is this gorgeous detailing, and you see there are some highlights and there are some shadows, so you want to see a bit of detail with the color being neutral, so the color does not take away from your hero. So backgrounds. What are good backgrounds or backdrops? So a white roll of paper, it's fantastic. It goes with everything. Particularly good for modern compositions, modern and minimal. But if you want something that's a bit more rustic, something that's a bit more romantic perhaps, something that has a bit of nostalgia about it, think of planks. So for example, those pallets that people are using for delivering items are wonderful, and you could usually see them on streets. So pick one up, take it apart, and create a nice background. The background size should be approximately like a poster paper, not too big, not too small. Rectangular is better than the square. The linen napkins or something a bit bigger, linen tablecloth, looks fabulous, absolutely fabulous as a backdrop. No need to iron it, just use as is, and it comes in this wonderful area of colors. Think of neutral colors, but also dark colors would look great as well. Old wooden planks, which you would stain, look fabulous, and usually I like to keep them in plank form rather than connecting them together. So I'll just for easy storage and easy transportation. And I have those planks, and each plank has two sides, so I'll usually stain one side one color, something darker, another side another color, something lighter. Maybe I'll paint it white or pink. I like experimenting. And of course, giant cutting boards are fabulous for that as well, if you can find one on the flea market or on eBay. Last prop I forgot to mention, it's craft paper. So craft paper is one of those wonderful universal props that every one of us has to have in their household. So I use it all the time. I use it just as background, but I use it to wrap things in it. So all of my Christmas gifts are usually wrapped in craft paper, and it's great because it takes white color. You could draw with white on it, you could paint with white on it, it looks really great. You could stamp something dark on it, you could glue something to it, and it gives a wonderful neutral backdrop to everything that you put on it. You really need to think about the style you want to portray when shooting this product. Is your product super modern? Then you would probably want to shoot it on stone, on marble, or on white, and this will dictate what sort of props to pull. Is your product, is your scene cozy? Is it, for example, autumn or Christmas scene? Then you think of candles and metals and things that make you feel warm, some knits. I hope you found my handouts useful, and I'm certain they'll come in handy when you start shooting. And also, let's go into setting up the actual home studio in the next lesson.